Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. My name is Andrew Heischman, and I'm the lead forecaster here at WW116. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day today. So, we're going to take a look here at the models. We'll take a look at GFS, Ecmwf, as well as Gfs. So, pretty much your American, your European, and your Canadian model on this potential winter weather event we're going to be dealing with further down the line. Now, if you guys do enjoy it, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. It would be greatly appreciated. You guys are honestly amazing. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead and get on into it. So before we look here at the models, I want to take a look here at the radar side of things. You know, this is kind of an important factor of when this winter weather event is going to take place. So we have all this moisture pretty much along here on the western side of the pretty much of the states. Now starting to move its way into the country here, and it will continue to move itself into the country pretty much overnight into tomorrow. Now, here's where things get interesting. So we go ahead and go back to the models here and go through a little bit further. So we can see here in the western side of the states here we have all this precipitation, snow at the higher elevations, with the cooler temperatures up, higher you go. And of course, it's showing that in the blue, showing the snow falling at the upper elevations. And then we do have the green showing, rain falling as well in the lower elevations that are just warm enough to not support snow. But here we go. This is where all that moisture comes into the United States. This is going to be playing a huge role. So here's the thing. All this moisture is going to kind of linger itself across the upper northwest here, and we get this, get this new low that develops right here, pretty much across, the northern panhandle of Texas into the western panhandle of Oklahoma. This area of low is going to be tracking itself to the northeast. Now, here's where things get interesting. So, due to that moisture we saw that already moved itself into the country, so we're going to get a lot more moisture on the southern flank of the system. So basically, this is causing advection to occur. This is basically that warm tropical air that's moving from the Gulf into the United States. This is actually due because, the areas of low pressure, they actually spin counterclockwise. So you kind of get all this air to drag up from the Gulf, feeding the storm. And of course, on the opposite side of that, you actually get air that's being pulled down. So you got that cold Arctic air from the Canadian region moving itself southward, pretty much southeastward. So we have the advection going on. We have all this warm moisture coming into, from the states, or from the Gulf of Mexico into the states. And then we kind of wraps around and have that cooler temperatures, kind of on the back end. So that's actually why we see snow occurring here, because that's basically where your mixing goes on. This is basically where all your, your moisture from the Gulf meets up with those cold temperatures from pretty much the, the areas of Canada here. So there's the thing. So we're going to take a look here at the next three models down the line. This system is actually generally expected to start dropping some snow pretty much in northern, Minnesota here. Kind of, mostly rain for the most part for areas like Iowa and, pretty much central and southern Minnesota. However, further down the line, as this cooler air, that cooler air kind of advances in more to the country here. So we're actually going to start to see, those rains actually transition more into snow because we're getting those colder temperatures. Now, there's going to be pretty much two waves of this for, bits of northern Minnesota here. So we're going to have, start off with a heavy snow. This is your heaviest precipitation area. And further down the line, it's going to kind of stop here, and then eventually it's going to, pick up again, light to moderate snow here across the area. According to this model, now you can't take this 100% accurately. This is just one model. This is just one run as well. But that's basically what we're dealing with there. And of course, we do have all these cooler temperatures kind of lingering down into the country. Now, let's go and take a look here at the Ecmwf model. This is your Canadian model in terms of things. So, same thing. We have all that moisture that kind of moves itself into the western parts of the United States, as we can see here. Relatively high pressure across much of the country, leading to some relatively nice conditions that we've actually seen today, across a lot of the country. So further down the line, same thing is going to occur. We get this area of low pressure that develops pretty much over the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas. Same thing's going to occur. This is going to generally move itself to the northeast, meeting up with all that precipitation that has moved itself into the country here. We're going to get all that cool air, start to move its way down southeastward. And we're going to get all that warm advection going on. So basically, that's just due to your cyclonic, rotation of the area of low pressure here. Pretty much, spinning counterclockwise. So you can imagine it dragging all the air down and dragging all the air up. Dragging up all this warm and moisture-filled air into the area of low pressure. And it's also dragging down those cooler temperatures. And it's kind of mixing right there between those, that tropical air as well as that cooler, and those cooler temperatures. Allows for more snow to fall in the northern portions of the storm. So that's what we're dealing with in terms of that. Now, this system actually shows it wrapping a little bit more intensively, as you can see, kind of stalling out a little bit longer over bits of, western Minnesota into the eastern Dakotas here. So, it's going to start off as rain majority here, That's kind of what the differences are. Between GFS and ECMWF, it kind of shows a mixture of precipitation occurring over northern Minnesota. So probably due to some warmer temperatures across the area, which can actually limit snowfall pretty greatly. So, and what we're expecting in terms of snowfall, it's like kind of at the threat for changing quite frequently. And which we're going to have to monitor, over the next few days as the system does get generally closer. But here's the thing. Here's your similarities. So we have the similarities of both GFS and ECMWF showing all that moisture moving its way into the country. We have that low that develops and moves itself to the northeast, meeting up and causing that area of low pressure. So that's actually a fact for both of these models. Both GFS and ECMWF do agree on those conditions. So that's actually showing these similarities. Now, let's go and take a look here at the GDPS side of things. This is your Canadian model. So let's go and see what this model has to say. So same thing here. You can see all that moisture just going into the western side of the United States. Okay, all three models are showing this. So this is going to happen at this point. Still have all that high pressure across much of the country here. The same thing happens. Here you go. We have this area of low pressure that develops pretty much over this region here. And this is going to do the same thing. Pretty much track itself to the northeast, dragging in all that tropical moisture from the Gulf, in which things could actually get interesting. So, this is your Canadian model. I want you to remember that. We get all this moisture advecting north. We got these cooler airs kind of pushing south, pretty much southeastward. And kind of where all that mixing goes on is right here where we see all the snow. And I know it's cut off right now. Here, I can even move it up a little bit for you guys. There you go. So now you guys can kind of see that, because this is right where it mixes. This is where you got all that tropical air moving up, and then it kind of mixes in with that cooler air that is already up in the Canadian region, which this model in particular is showing more snowfall around the Canadian region here. And that's where we see our differences. Now, in terms of what we can see for snowfall, we're going to take a look right now in terms of that. So, we're going to go ahead and go back to GFS real quick. This is your American model. We'll go back here real quick, and we're going to take a look here at the total accumulated snowfall. So give me 1 second while I change this. Total accumulated snowfall. Okay. So, of course, we're going to have some, accumulation going on in the upper elevations of the Rockies. This is actually expected because we have all this moisture that's moving its way into the country here. And obviously, in the upper mountains, it's a lot cooler, which can actually, pretty much, allow for snowfall to occur. So we are going to get some, snow falling in the upper elevations, maybe up to a foot in some areas, according to this model here, which you can see kind of pushing near over a foot in some areas. So that's basically what we're dealing with. Now here's where the things get interesting. So this is your GFS model showing that, that snowstorm moving its way through the region. We might see as high as maybe 4 to 8 inches, maybe with locally higher amounts here in northern Minnesota. Now for basically eastern, the eastern Dakotas, you might see as much as 3 to 5 inches, with locally higher amounts. So this is kind of what this one model is saying on itself. Now, here's where things change. Now we're going to take a look at the ECMWF model. We're going to go through the same thing. We still have all that accumulation going on the western side with all that, mountain snowfall. And then we get this snowstorm that comes through. Now, in terms of this, it's showing a lot more widespread snowfall. However, not as much. We might see some instances of maybe 4 to 8 inches, but, for the majority, it's kind of more like 3 to 5 for most of these people here, with locally higher amounts. Maybe a trace to an inch, as far down as pretty much, Illinois here, into pretty much, Iowa as well. So that's basically what we're dealing with in terms of those models. So there's obviously a lot of things that are different between those two models alone. Now we're going to take a look here at the GDPS model, and this is where we have your serious differences. So, still get that snowfall falling across the pretty much the midst of the upper elevations here, and then we get ourselves our snowstorm that comes through, pretty much dumping maybe 3 to 5 inches in most places, pretty much here just in Minnesota here into North Dakota. So, in terms of what's going to happen here, there's still a lot of disagreements. However, we do have the agreeing factor that pretty much we're going to get all this moisture that's going to be building in on the west coast, moving its way in. So we know that's going to occur. We also do know that a low is going to form pretty much over here and move itself to the northeast, meeting up with all this precipitation. This is going to cause the system to form. Now, the system forming is probably going to be around 100% chance of forming. I can honestly tell you guys, this system will form further down the line. But the thing is that what we don't know is how much accumulation we're going to see. One, there's a lot of factors playing in, there's a lot of factors playing a role. One is temperatures. Obviously, temperatures play a huge role in accumulation. And another role is where this low is exactly going to end up. If this low ends up more higher than we think it is, we're going to get kind of that snow line being more higher up towards the southern Canadian region, kind of like GDPS was saying. Now, if it tracks further south, we're going to start to see more snowfall fall in the northern parts of the United States, kind of like how Ecmwf as well as Gfs were showing. So we're just going to have to continue monitoring this. We're going to have to continue watching these models as these outputs continue to come out. So last thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Gfs model. I kind of just want to show you this. This is not really snow related, but you can definitely tie into it. So we're going to take a look here at the surface temperatures. The 2 meter surface temperatures is pretty much at the surface here. So according to this model, so basically we had all that, that low develop, move itself to the northeast here. With areas of low pressure, they stir the atmosphere counterclockwise, right? So you basically get all this warm air that comes up into the states here, and then you got all this cool air that kind of pushes itself to the southeast here, and which with this storm, not only is it going to bring some, pretty snowy conditions across, potentially bits of the northern country, it's also going to start to drive in some cold temperatures as well. Look at this, temperatures dropping below freezing for, much of the northern Great Plains, moving into pretty much the northwest and into the upper Midwest as well. Now it's going to be a significant cool down for a lot of people. You can see that cold front right along this ridge here. So that's what we're dealing with in terms of those temperatures. Further down the line, it's going to continue advancing, and then the model gets really, really crazy here at the end. Okay, this is not going to happen. I just want to show you how crazy this is. This shows temperatures in the negatives. This is just showing an Arctic blast occurring towards the middle to end of this month. Now, this is, like I said, this is really far out. This is obviously not going to happen because of how far away it is. And this is, like I said, this is just one model, but it's just kind of crazy to see that, honestly. But anyways, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video, this update. If you guys do enjoy it, make sure you leave a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Anyways, guys, my name is Andrew Heischman. Just know that you guys are amazing and that you are loved. You guys are absolutely awesome, and I really appreciate all of your guys' support. But anyways, guys, I will see you all in the next video.